We are going on a journey with the family of Joseph, and we have had an amazing time with Joseph this semester. Joseph is a young man who has to be studied. If you're a young guy, you need to study the life of Joseph, because in the life of Joseph is embedded a life of integrity, a life that pleases God, and a life that looks up unto God. And we have looked at several tests that God took him through. The first test that we looked at was that he was deserted. At least in his mind, he thought that he has been deserted by God when his brothers sold him into slavery. And when he was going to Egypt, he thought all hope was lost. He thought that he's been deserted, he's going to be a slave, and everything has been lost, and his life has come to an end. And so when he was going to Egypt, there was no hope, and there was nothing that showed that he was going to do well in life. And sometimes some of us, we feel that way. We feel that God has deserted us. We feel that God doesn't want to do anything with us. Sometimes we feel that God is finished with us. Now, when he got to Egypt, he was bought by a man known as Potiphar. And so he was sent into a palace. And not little did he know that he has been sent there to know the ways of the Egyptians, to learn the administration of the Egyptians. The Bible says that he was so prudent that he was put in charge of the household of Potiphar. And when he was put in charge of the household of Potiphar, he did so well that Potiphar said, no way. He's going to put him in charge of all his businesses. And then he put Joseph, a 24-year-old, or even younger than that, he put him in charge of all his businesses. He made him the CEO of his businesses. And David did so well. But then Joseph did so well, but calamity fell on him. And the wife of Potiphar wanted him. When he wouldn't give in, he was sent to prison. Once again, he was trying to please God, do what God wants, but he was sent into prison. And then from prison, he interpreted some dreams for some people that had come from Pharaoh's courtyard. And then when they got to Pharaoh's courtyard, one of them remembered him. The other was killed. But one of them, the cupbearer, remembered Joseph. And then he told Joseph that there is a boy who can interpret dreams. And the king had had two dreams that were terrifying to him. And when he was told that there was a boy in prison who could interpret dreams, the Bible says that Joseph was washed and he got a haircut. So whatever he was doing in prison, it means that he was still in prison clothes and he was still looking like a prisoner. But then he was put in charge of the prison. So when he came into the palace, he interpreted a dream of the king. And the king made him a prime minister, from prison to prime minister. And that is why you have to be careful. When he was going through all those calamities and tests, he thought that his life was over. But in one day, the Lord lifted him from prison and made him a prime minister. In fact, Pharaoh told him, only in the throne will I be greater than you. And so he was number 2 to the Pharaoh, the king of the land. And this was his story. Now, last week we looked at when his brothers were hungry and there was so much drought and hunger on the land. And his father told them, go to Egypt and buy some grain for us. So they went to Egypt and they got some grain. But then when they got there, Joseph recognized that these are my brothers who sold me. And so Joseph is going to take them through a couple of tests to prove that whether they have changed or not, because it had been 21 years since he saw them. And he, in his mind, the last time he saw these guys, they were crooked and they were even willing to sell one of their brothers. And so this is a family that was very crooked, a family that was very wicked. And Joseph wanted to test whether these guys have changed or not, whether they are still the people he knew. And so he took them through a couple of tests. And we are going to continue the story from Genesis chapter 22, verse 24 to 27. So Genesis chapter 22, verse 24 to 27 says that he turned away from them and began to weep, but then came back and spoke to them again. He had Simon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Verse 25, Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and to give them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on the donkeys and left. Verse 27, at the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey, and he saw his silver in the mouth of the sack. My silver has been returned, he said to his brothers. Here it is in my sack. Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other trembling and said, what is this that God has done to us? Now, this is the language of the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, whenever anything happened, whether God did it or not, they said God did it. And so, Joseph was just trying to care for his brothers. He was just trying to put the money that they brought him that he didn't need, that he didn't even wanted. He wanted to put it back inside their sack so that when they go and they are coming back, there will be enough money for them to return back to buy more grain. But then when the brothers saw the money in their sacks, they panicked. Why? Because in the mind of the wicked, everything they see is a trap. So when they saw the silver in their sack, all they could think about is that this is a trap. Joseph wants to kill us. But in the mind of Joseph, he was giving back the money so that they can get enough money to come back. Then they exclaimed and they said that, what is this that God has done to us? Now, what I want you to pick from here is that in the languaging of the Old Testament, you see, and God killed this person, and God did this, and God did this, and God did that. Because to the Israelites, God did everything. So here, even though God was not trying to punish them, even though God was not trying to squeeze them, in their minds, because of that particular mentality that they interpreted everything with, they thought God was coming after them because they sold their brother. And so everything seemed like a punishment from God to them, right when they were faced with the consequences of their actions. Sometimes we do things, and because we have done those things, even when people are not after us, even when people are not talking about us, we think that they are talking about us. And we come to a place where we begin to pick fight with everyone because we think they are talking about us and we think they are doing something about us. Here, their philosophy in their mind is that every time something bad is happening to them, God is punishing them. And this philosophy is carried into today. When things are happening, instead of asking the right questions, we tend to ask the question, is God punishing us or not? When we commit sin and we do something and stuff is happening to us, we think that God is punishing us because of the sin that we did. Some of us, something that we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we are still asking for forgiveness. Why? Because in our mind, God has not forgiven us. And if something is happening, we think that God is punishing us. And this was the state that the brothers were. And they were thinking about these things. And they were saying God is punishing them. And God has got nothing to do with that. Joseph simply wanted to care for them. And then he wanted to do well by them. And so he gave the money back to them. But in their hearts, Joseph is trying to get them. Verse 29. When they came to their father, Jacob, in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them. They said, the man who is Lord over the land. So still they had not recognized Joseph. Even though they had been with him, spoken with him, they have gone back to their father, they still didn't recognize that that was their brother. And they called him the man. And so they are going to use the man for him all the time. The man who is Lord over the land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land. Verse 31. But we said to him, we are honest men. We are not spies. Now this is interesting. These guys who their father didn't trust told their father that we told the man that we are honest guys. And their father didn't say anything to them that you guys, I don't even trust you enough to let Benjamin travel with you. And you were telling the man that you were honest men. And so to the father, they lied to Joseph to come back. And the father was okay with it. The father didn't rebuke them because the father would have done the same thing. Jacob was somebody who would lie through everything, so far as it benefited him. He demonstrated that by stealing the blessings from his brother. So far as they lied to the man that they were honest men, he was okay with it. And he will even say, why didn't they tell more lies? We will come to the story. Now, if I read a story of Jacob, I question the way I'm parenting my kids. Because it is crucial for the father to have manipulated his children into them having anger and detesting their own brother. This is not a good parenting. When we read the fathers of faith in the Bible, we think they are angels. They were having the same everyday struggles we are having. And they were not any extraordinary people. God just decided to walk with them and decided to sanctify them and declare them righteous in his eyes, not because of what they were doing. If you look at each one of them, from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 patriarchs, you can see that their lives were a mess. And this is demonstrated here when he asked them and they told the man that they were honest people. He knows his children are not honest people. He should have rebuked them. Why did you tell the guy that you are honest? I know that you are not honest people. If you can connive to sell one of you and to kill one of you, I can't trust you guys. Verse 32. We were 12 brothers, sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan. Then the man who is the Lord over the land said to us, this is how I will know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for your starving households and go. But bring your young brother to me, so I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land. As they were emptying their sacks, there in each man's sack was his pouch of silver. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened. So, you see, if you don't have a clear mind, and you think that the world is coming for you, you interpret everything in the light of the negative. Because they didn't even know that their brother was trying to take care of them. And they've been crooked and sinful and dishonest. When they saw it, if you go to the supermarket, you buy a lot of stuff, you pay for what you have bought, and you come home and you find money in your bag. Why are you threatened? Why are you afraid? The least thing you can do is that maybe somebody's money fell into your bag, you want to return it or something. Why are you shaking? Why are you thinking that the police is coming after you? That's why they have planted money in your bag. And that was what they were thinking. Joseph is, verse 30 says, their father Jacob said to them, you have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simon is no more. So when they went, Joseph, when he was young, to the father has been killed. When they went, Simon was arrested. Joseph arrested Simon and kept him. So the father is saying that now Joseph is no more, Simon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me. Everything is against me. You see, the sequence of events were not revealed to them. So in their mind, everything was against them. However, God had already used everything that has happened to make provision for them. But they didn't know. So in your life, sometimes when you come to a place of frustration, when you come to a place of lack, when you come to a place of difficulty, be careful what you say. Because to you and the evidence that is before you, everything is against you. But behind the scenes, God had made provision for them. And God started making that plan 20 years ago when they had no idea. So where you have come to, that you think that God has deserted you, in the past, and even 10 years ago, God knew you were going to be there, and He has started making provision for you, but you don't know. So you say anything. And this is why we are going through this series, for our faith to come to a place where we can totally trust God with our lives. Where we can come to a place and we will know that whatever is going on in our lives, God is behind the scene. At that particular moment, when you are going through what you are going through, you think God has deserted you. You think there is no way out. But God, in His infinite wisdom and sovereign power, had already made provision for that particular moment. But because you don't know, you say anything about God. And sometimes you say, because that thing is happening to you, there is no God. Why? Because you have no idea that whatever is going on, God's hand is behind the scene to bring you to an expected end. Jacob didn't know that God's hand was over the issue. So he said that everything is against me. Because before his very eye, the evidence are not coming together. And before his very eyes, things are going bad. Little did he know that God has made even provision for his children's children to flourish with everything that was going on. But he didn't know it. And he said that everything is against me. Verse 37, then Reuben said to his father, you may put both of my sons to death, if I do not bring back to you and trust, if I do not bring him back to you and trust him to my care, and I will bring him back to you. Verse 38, but Jacob said, my son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. Now, the way Jacob talks, no father should talk that way. His brother is gone. He is the only one left. You have 12 children. One is gone, and you are saying that Benjamin is the only one left among your sons. Before them, his brother is gone. He's the only one left. This division among children and this division among family is something we have to guard our hearts against. But he totally disregarded Reuben. And Reuben made a trade with his sons. Still, the father didn't accept that proposition. He gave Jacob 2 children in the interest of one. The father still did not receive that proposition. Why? Because to him, the 2 children of Reuben are worthless. The child that reminds him of his former wife that he loved, nothing can replace that child. And Reuben himself slept with one of his wives, his father's wives. And so at this point in time, he has lost all credibility before the father. Jacob could never forgive and forget his son. And so whatever his son did was still in his head, and he didn't trust him. The second thing that made him not trust Reuben was that the first time he entrusted Joseph to him, he came back to tell him that Joseph has been killed. Because Reuben was in charge of the brothers. Nothing could happen without Reuben sanctioning it. But Reuben had lost credibility before his brothers. And he has lost integrity before his brothers. And so when they decided to sell Joseph and to kill Joseph, he couldn't stop it. Why? Because he has lost all credibility and integrity. In your life, be careful. You can lose anything, but don't lose your integrity. You can lose whatever that is in your hands, whether money, position, or whatever, but don't lose your integrity. And I'm going to take us deep into what integrity is. And as young men who are growing, as young women who are growing, we need to guard our hearts and we need to make sure that people respect us and we have integrity. All this behavior in your own house, nobody trusts you. In your own house, when something gets lost, they point to you that this is the guy probably who took it. What you're building for your life is a life that cannot be trusted and a life without integrity. When you say, I will show up, you show up. When you say, I'm not going to be there, you are not going to be there. However, if things change, you have to be there. But if you say, I am not going to do something, it is simply short. You are not going to do it. Your no is your no, your yes is your yes. Reuben even attached a promise to it and said that I will bring the boy back. If I don't bring the boy back, you can kill my 2 sons. Still, the father did not respect that proposition and did not want to give his son to him. You need to be careful how you live your life, because integrity is the highest currency you can ever live your life by. If people trust you, doors will open for you. If people trust you, when you speak, it has weight and value. By attaching his children, he was still not believed. His word was nothing to the father. You don't have to come to that place. Your boss cannot trust you. Your father cannot trust you. Doors will shut before you because nobody can trust that you can deliver. You cannot live your life that way as a young man. Now we end the chapter 42. So we start the chapter 43. Now the famine was still severe in the land. So when they had eaten all the grains they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, go back and buy us a little more food. He had forgotten that the guys can never go back if they don't take Benjamin. And so the father, not wanting to lose Benjamin, was starving the whole family. He loved the boy so much that he didn't care to starve the whole family. Why would you love one of your children that way over everybody in the family? We should never come to that place. But Judah, now the story becomes interesting. But Judah said to him, the man warned us solemnly, you will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother along with us, we will go down and buy food for you. Verse 5. But if you will not send him, we will not go down, because the man said to us, you will not see my face again unless your brother is with you. Now let's watch this. Then Judah said to Israel, his father, send the boy along with me, and we will go at once, so that we and you and our children will live and not die. The man was starving the whole family because he didn't want to lose Benjamin. Verse 9, I myself will guarantee his safety. The word guarantee there means it's a transactional thing. It's just like when somebody is going for a loan and a collateral is added. They said they can't trust you, bring your car or bring your house. Judah was telling the father, I will guarantee that the boy comes back to you. You can hold me personally responsible. He didn't add his children. He didn't add anything. He said, I will guarantee the safety. As a young man, if you cannot talk like this, you have missed it in life. If you cannot talk like this in the house, when your father is saying something, you cannot tell your father, I will make sure this is done. And your father backs off and say that I leave it to you. If you are not in that position, you are missing it in life. If you cannot speak to your lecturer and say that, don't worry, I'll take care of this. And your lecturer will say that, I trust that this guy will take care of it. Let's leave it. If you cannot talk like that anywhere, you have missed it in life. From today, make sure you embark on the journey to correct that. If you cannot walk to the workplace and talk that, guys, leave this to me, I will handle it. And everybody backs off and everybody is happy that because you have said this, it will be done. If you can't come to that place in life, you have missed it in life. Your wife cannot trust you, your children cannot trust you. When you tell your children, I'll buy this for you, and your children don't trust that you will buy it for them, you have missed it in life. Integrity is something you don't need to scream, you don't need to curse, you don't need to swear. Judah was swearing, Judah was saying all things and saying that my children, kill my children, all those things. The father totally disregarded what he was saying. But Judah was telling the father, I will guarantee that the boy comes back to you. I will personally take charge of that. Let's see what the father said. If I do not bring him back to you, set him here before you, I will bear the blame before you all my life. This is a man of integrity talking. This is how you need to talk in life. When I go to my boss, I shouldn't make promises. I just have to say, boss, leave it. Sir, leave it for me. It will be handled. Hey, no, this is working. This is not working. Leave it for me. I'll make sure it works. If you cannot be confident and say this without screaming, and people will believe you have missed it in life. And this is how you have to live your life. When you speak, it has to carry weight and volume. Now let me help you. Verse 10. As it is, if we had not delayed, and we could have gone and returned twice. Now, let me walk you through the word integrity, what it means. Integrity comes from a Latin word, integer. You've heard the word before. Integer. It's made up of two words, a prefix in, and the second one, tangere. Now, if you bring it together, it becomes integer. The in, prefix in Latin is not. It's just not. The tangere means touch. So, not touched is the word. It means that you are whole and it is one. In the English, the way we use the word is that we combine it with two ideas. Wholeness, and that is you are not divided internally. And then consistency in your values, your words, and your actions are aligned. So your values, your words, and your actions are aligned. And it is one. Integer. An integer. It is one. It is not divided. It is whole. So your values are whole. Your values are consistent. Your word is one. Your word is not divided. That is integrity. When you say something, it means exactly what it means. And when you promise, your promise stands. You are a person who is wholly put together, and you are a person who cannot be divided from your values. If you say one thing and you do another thing, you don't have integrity. If your values cannot be measured with consistency and truth, you don't have integrity. When you promise that you will do something and the thing doesn't get executed, you don't have integrity. You can make a mistake whilst you are executing it, but you are executing it. So you have integrity. But when you say one thing and you do another, you don't have integrity. When you say, I will go for this lecture, and you don't show up, you don't have integrity. If you will not go, you will not go. If something has happened, you come and you bring an excuse why the thing is not happening. If you promise I will do this assignment and you don't do it, you don't have integrity. It's small things like that. Small things like that. And then you take it to your workplace. When you are given a task and you are given a deadline, you don't measure up to the deadline and you don't measure up to the task, you don't have integrity. Integrity is not something you can promise people you have. No, you show it and you do it. And all of us, one way or the other, we are falling short all over the place. Sometimes we think that we are being smart and we don't even, it's not a problem. I mean, I can make up later. No, you don't have integrity. It is not about making it later. It's about your word. You have been brought to this school to acquire knowledge. If you waste your time playing games, you don't have integrity. It is small things like that. Then you grow with it. And all of a sudden, at your workplace, nobody can trust you because you cut corners. This is what integrity means. In the Greek, however, the word is used a little differently. In the Greek, it is translated from several words. I just brought two. It is translated from about 6 words. And all of them point towards sincerity. It points towards security and innocence. So if you have integrity, you provide security for those who are around you. People can be safe because your word is given. And this is something that all of us will have to come into terms with. The akarios means that it is pure. It is unmixed. So it is still whole. And then it is uncontaminated. And it is innocent. A young girl who is innocent, no man, has her integrity intact. A young man who no girl, has not slept with any girl, has his integrity intact. He is innocent before God. That is what integrity means. Keeping yourself till you are married is the highest form of integrity you can show to your husband and your wife. Simple girlfriend cannot trust you. Hey! How can a wife trust you? Simple boyfriend cannot trust you. How can a husband trust you? The way we are living our lives, you should be careful. Oh. Integrity is important in your life. You need to say some things to yourself. My pastor can say that I can trust Tabiri when it comes to A, B, C, D. My pastor's wife can say the same thing about me. I can trust Tabiri about A, B, C, D. Why? His word is his word. When he says something, he will kill himself to do it. But we all have things we are working on. I'm working on a lot of things in my life. But there are some things I try not to lose it. I try not to lose those things, because if I lose those things, I'm done. Right now, as we are seated here, I can pick a phone, and call somebody and tell the person, I'm in serious need, help me. The person will drop everything and help me. Why? Because he knows this guy. Can trust him. Don't live your life anyhow. Don't do that. The second word in Greek that it is translated from, adiaphoria, means that incorruptible. You cannot be corrupted. And this is used in Titus 2 verse 7. Titus 2 verse 7 says that in everything set them an example by set an example in everything in your life. The small things, the big things, in everything set an example. Your life is supposed to be an example. People should be able to point and say that this guy, I trust him. In your teaching, show integrity. An incorruptible message. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about you. This is how you live your life. Go and practice these things. Your life has to be an example in the house. The way you conduct yourself, the way you move, the way you do your things, people should trust you. And when you build that aura around you, you succeed in life. It is the biggest currency you can hold in this world. Begin to pray. Where your life is falling short, begin to pray for grace. Begin to pray that, Father, help me. This is a message you have given to me. This is my message. Help me. Help me to be hardworking. Help me to show integrity in all the things that I do. Help me to be whole. Help me so that my word will mean what I say. I'll demonstrate this honesty in all that I do. I'll be an example to everyone in my life.